Hello everyone, this is 12th Harbinger and welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to give you a complete guide for the new 4.7 Spiral Abyss Floor 12. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. For the 12-1 first half, in the first wave we have 3 Primal Construct enemies. A crowd control unit won't be required here to group them as they are already pretty close to each other. I always like to start the fight by attacking the left or the right construct, as they can get pushed behind if I start attacking the middle one first. The constructs will go invisible after a while, but triggering aggravate reaction on them while in the invisible state can paralyze them. Or if you don't have Electro and Dendro character, you can destroy the parts that this enemy summons in its invisible state. Ideally, you would want to kill these constructs before they enter the invisible state, as you have lots of enemies to defeat but very less time. After defeating the constructs, immediately run towards the south side of the arena where a Ruin Guard will spawn. There's a chance that the Ruin Guard will do the rocket launching attack if you are far away from it, so make sure to dodge it if it does. After defeating the Ruin Guard, 2 Ruin Drakes will spawn on the left side of the arena. I position myself towards the center of the arena, as the Ruin Drakes will come a bit closer as they walk towards you, and being in center will let you start attacking the enemies of the next wave a bit sooner. After taking some damage, the Ruin Drake will start charging an attack. After completing the attack, they will get increased resistance to the element that dealt the most damage to them. You can stop this attack by hitting the eye of the Ruin Drake while it is charging the attack. And after the Ruin Drakes are finished, on the right side of the arena we have 2 Eremite Summoners. One is an Emo and the other one is Pyro. If you don't have a crowd control unit to bring them close, I recommend staying near the Anemo Eremite, as the Pyro Eremite moves and comes towards you, unlike the Anemo one who stays stationary. After the Eremites summon their pets, defeat them immediately to stun the Eremites and deal a huge amount of damage to them. Both single target and AoE DPS characters can work here. There's no specific element you need to use over here. Any DPS works as long as they have a decent build and can deal good enough damage. You may want to clear this side as soon as possible, as you will need a lot more time for the Abyss Lectors in the next half. In 12-1 second half, in the first wave, we have 2 Abyss Mages and 1 Dendro Samatryl. Immediately get rid of the Dendro Samatryl, as his Dendro application combined with the Abyss Mage's Pyro attacks can trigger burn reactions on you and deplete your HP very fast. After defeating the Samatryl, you can proceed to defeat the Abyss Mages. You can do a trick over here. If you go towards the east side of the arena, the Abyss Mages will teleport towards you and will come closer to each other, allowing you to attack both of them at the same time. And this will also position your character to start attacking the enemies of the next wave right away. However, this trick is kind of like a hit or miss, as the Abyss Mages can take forever to teleport. A Hydro character is necessary here to break the shield of the Abyss Mages, and they will be useful for the next wave as well. After defeating the Abyss Mages, 2 Abyss Lectors will spawn on the right side of the arena. You can bring them close to each other by using a crowd control character like Kazuha, Venti, Sucrose, etc. Without a good crowd control unit, it can be difficult to group them together. After a Lector enters into a shield phase, you will see that they get knocked back. You can utilize this technique to group them together. Basically, you just knock them towards each other. You can also go towards the opposite side of the Abyss Lectors. This can help you bring them closer and position yourself for the next wave. It is important to keep them close so that you can break their shield phase faster. When the Abyss Lectors enter shield phase, they will summon these orbs, which can be destroyed with Hydro or Electro element, with Hydro being more efficient. Destroying this orb will reduce a considerable amount of shield of the Abyss Lectors and push them back. You can use this push to your advantage to group them if they have moved far away from each other, as you cannot stagger these enemies when they are in the shield phase. Child can be the best character to melt the shield of the Abyss Lectors, as his attacks doesn't have ICD, meaning they apply Hydro on every hit and has a decent AoE. Hydro Catalyst users are also great, especially Nuvolette with his huge AoE. Xingqiu on his own may not be able to break the shields of both the Abyss Lectors on time, so you can pair him with another Hydro character. You can use an Electro charged teams as well, since both Electro and Hydro can break the Pyro shield. After defeating the Abyss Lectors, we have one more wave on the left side of the arena, which includes 2 Anemo Black Serpent Knights. These knights have increased Anemo and physical resistance, so you may want to avoid using DPS characters of those elements. When the Serpent Knight attack shields, they will get a temporary buff of 30% increased attack, and they will blink away from your next hit and take no damage. And if this hit was the nuke damage you were preparing, it could be a big problem, so you may want to avoid using shielders unless you don't care about this buff. In 12-2 first half, we have the Magu Kenki. The Magu Kenki will take around 10 seconds to get up. In this time, you can prepare your bursts or your support rotations and start attacking it as soon as its HP bar shows up. When you clear air on 30% of its HP, it will do this big burst attack and enter into the second phase. During this phase, the Magu Kenki cannot be damaged. After doing this attack, usually the Magu Kenki will do a sword spin attack, and it will go behind and do another sword spin. If you keep attacking the Magu Kenki when it is doing the burst attack to enter the second phase, you can make it skip the first sword spin and directly go behind. It is not guaranteed that it will skip the first attack, but the chances are high. As there's only one enemy here, single target DPS characters are the best. The AoE DPS character will be useful for the next half. In the second half, we have 2 Kairagis for the first wave. You can go between the 2 Kairagis to make them move towards you, for better grouping initially. These enemies like to move a lot, so having a crowd control unit can be very helpful to keep them together. Also, you need to make sure that you defeat both the enemies at the same time, because if you only kill one of them, after a small window, the other enemy will enter in rage state and heal himself, making it more time consuming. The next wave has these 2 mecha enemies. These enemies constantly keep getting knocked back. The thing about these mechs is that these mechs get knocked back opposite of the direction that they are facing. So you will need to wait a bit for them to face towards you so that when you knock them back, they will not go in any weird direction. If you have crowd control unit, you don't have to worry about this. Next we have the Rift Hounds. Just keep focusing on the Rift Hound that's closest to you as these enemies keep moving, and they eventually get grouped after doing their attacks. Geo characters are great for these Rift Hounds as Geo attacks lower their Geo resistances. For the next wave, I go directly to the enemy in the middle. The big enemy tends to move weirdly. As you can see, if I stay in the middle, it moves and gets grouped with the other mechs. This can help you to deal damage to all the 3 enemies at once. The big enemy just keeps moving around. If it gets really far away, you can kill the smaller ones first and then focus on the bigger one. In 12-3 first half, after around 10 seconds of starting the battle, the boss will turn invisible, move few steps ahead of its previous position and leave its parts on the ground. While the boss is invisible, triggering quicken reaction on it will immediately paralyze the boss. If you don't have Electro and Dendro character in the team, you can destroy any one of these parts, and this will force the boss to teleport to the middle of the arena and enter recovery state. While in recovery state, the boss summons these Dendro pillars that you can destroy using Electro attacks and paralyze the boss. If you don't have Electro, you can wait for a few seconds and the boss will be visible again. You can prepare your support rotation while the boss is still invisible so that you can get more time to deal damage when the boss gets visible again. Single target DPS who can deal extremely high damage are recommended here. Using teams that can cause quicken reaction can help you clear this boss faster, as you can instantly paralyze the boss. 12-3 second half. If you don't have a crowd control unit, go to one of the pyro shooter on the left or right and make them jump back to group them with the other enemies. You can do the same with the other Fatui shooter too. It will jump back the first time you approach it. You can also push them back with attacks like charge attack from a sword character, Bennett's Burst, Xingshu's Burst, etc. The real nightmare starts from the next wave. It's the Consecrated Beasts again with help from other small enemies that lets them trigger overload reactions and kill you faster. I like to kill the Electro Seahorses first as their Electro application will keep triggering overload reaction and keep knocking you around, making it extremely difficult to deal damage. When you break the Electro shield of the Seahorses, they will deal Hydro damage which can trigger Vaporize and one-shot you. So don't make the mistake of keeping them alive. Make sure to dodge the attacks of the beast as it can kill you easily. You can bring a strong shielder like Zhongli or a strong healer to stay alive. You have to pay attention to the Consecrated Beast when it drops a crystal. The beast will turn into an orb, and after this attack it will drop its crystal. You will need to hit it with 6 any elemental attack or 1 pyro attack, and then hit the Consecrated Beast to deal a significant amount of damage to it and paralyze it. For the next wave we have the Electro Consecrated Scorpion and 2 Pyro Crabs. The one thing about these crabs is that Once you break their shields, they literally do nothing and just try to maintain distance from you. So you can just break their shields and fully focus on the consecrated beast. Or you can just kill the crabs first, as they are very squishy. The crabs also dive on you when they have their shield, so you can use that to bring the enemies closer. Similar to the pyro consecrated beast, this scorpion will also drop its crystal. It will drop the crystal after doing this spinning attack. So break the crystal and hit the beast to deal damage and paralyze it. The first halves are the easiest of this Abyss cycle. Dendro or Electro DPS characters in Quicken or Hyperbloom teams like Alhaitham, Clorin, Cyno, Sethos are the best for the Matrix boss in the last chamber, but you can clear it with any elemental DPS character. The real nightmare is in the second half of every chamber. There are multiple enemy waves and the enemies also have thick HP. It is a huge DPS check. AoE DPS characters are recommended here. If you have Nuvalet, then this side can be cleared with ease, and him being Hydro makes the second half of the first chamber easier. You can use Hyperbloom teams as well, since this reaction can deal very high damage. And that's all for this video. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe for more such content. Thanks for watching.